Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video with On Point Politics. And today we're going to be going over the latest Rasmussen national poll, looking at the crosstabs and seeing what map it would produce. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe for more content just like this. Rasmussen is known to be one of the most hated pollsters in the industry. Despite being one of the most accurate aggregators, they actually lean left in all of their averages, including their state averages. And so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what their crosstabs show for this election cycle. We're going to go ahead and move over to the map right now. And so looking at the electoral college map, just a few things to list off the crosstabs. Female voters were tied in this poll, which is not great because Biden won that group by a little bit over 13 points. So that's not great. Males, Trump +4, that's roughly what it was back in 2020, which is kind of interesting. I have a feeling that's going to be a little understated. Looking at 18 to 39-year-olds, Harris only leads that group by 5 points. 40 to 64, Trump's ahead by quite a bit. He's up by around, 7 points. And looking at 65 plus, he's actually up by 4 with those, which is an underperformance from them from 2020. He's up with whites by 7 points. So that's definitely an underperformance with them. But he's doing way better with Black and Hispanic voters. He's actually leading Hispanics, and he's leading with other voters by quite a bit. He's winning independents by 8 points. And what's very interesting is that my moving average is pretty fascinating because Trump is actually a little bit above 48 right now, and Harris is slowly catching up to 46%, which is what she got in this poll. Trump got 48, Harris got 46%. So that is pretty interesting. We see people who are moderates are only breaking for Harris by 13, which isn't great. That's like not really a good performance. And we clearly see that Donald Trump is improving with African American and Hispanic voters enough to kind of win the election. And what I've done is each of those groups, I plugged them into the 538 model, and I basically averaged out all the map results, and we essentially get all of the states, margins. And so Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, both Dakotas, all of Nebraska, except the 2nd congressional district, as well as Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, and Missouri are going to be in the safe column, as well as South Carolina. Looking at some of these other states, Alaska is in the safe Republican column. If we go to a state like Iowa, that is not in the safe column. Neither is the state of Ohio right now. So that is pretty fascinating to see that those are not in the safe column according to this. But most of the other states I have basically in the safe column. Florida is at 11 points. Texas actually goes safe. Funny enough, Texas is actually the one that goes safe Republican, which I think would make sense because if Hispanics are moving to the right and whites are not, then it would make sense for Texas to move very, very heavily to the right, but not, Iowa or Ohio. In this matchup right now, California is like an 18-point win for Kamala Harris. Right now, DC 73-point win. That's a 13-point shift to Trump. So that's interesting. Maryland is about a 23-point victory. Massachusetts 26 points. And if we look at Vermont, that's about a 30-point victory. And that's actually the largest victory for Harris in any state. And Hawaii right now is actually, looking at the crosstabs, is a little bit over 15 points. It's a 16.1 percentage point margin. So again, that's pretty concerning for Kamala Harris because that is a really poor performance in Hawaii. That would literally be like 13, 14 more points to the right of what it was back in 2020. And those are all of the safe states for either candidate. Well, let's look at Maine second really quick. That does actually narrowly go in the safe column for Donald Trump. Looking at the likely states, Florida is an 11-point victory for the former president. He's winning Ohio in this forecast by 14.5 percentage points. Going to Iowa, he wins that by 13.5, which may be underestimating his support. And a lot of times the white vote tends to get underestimated in these polls. I just like doing videos on Rasmussen because they are one of the most accurate aggregators in the polling industry for 2016 and 2020. And so that's why I like doing weekly videos on their latest national poll, just so you guys could see what basically the most accurate pollster in the industry pretty much shows for the map when you plug it in with demographics. And white voters tend to always be underestimated with Trump support. So there's a big possibility that Trump is actually being underestimated with whites. Ann Seltzer's yet to be released Iowa polls, Trump plus 19, and the state, the Iowa State Fair straw poll, which actually tends to be pretty accurate, is Trump plus 21. So you definitely may see an under sampling of white voters for Trump in this matchup. North Carolina, right now, if we were to go look at the crosstabs there, he is up by 9 points in North Carolina, 9.3%. In Georgia, Trump's up by 9.2%. So those two states are not even competitive. Arizona is 7.2 percentage points for Donald Trump. And if we go to Nevada, Trump's up by 6.1, which, funny enough, both of those margins are fairly similar to the national or the state averages I even have for the polling data there. Georgia and North Carolina, they're a little bit more red than what I have in my averages for the states, but they're still above 5 points. And Florida, I have it as a 13-point win in my averages. And right now, Trump's up by 11 here. Looking at the Rust Belt, Trump is up by 5.4%. My moving average in Wisconsin is actually 5.5. So that kind of aligns up pretty well, actually. And we look at, Pennsylvania is 5.7%. So, my average is a little bit closer than that. But here it's showing as a 5.7 percentage point win for Donald Trump, which puts him at 297 electoral college votes. Looking at the likely states, Colorado is only a 5-point win for Harris in this. Illinois, 8.7%. Like, that's way closer. Washington is 12 points. Oregon is around 9.7%. So again, really, really close. Looking at Connecticut, that's 12 points. Delaware is 10 points. Rhode Island, if we were to look at that state, that's a 13.6 percentage point win. New Jersey is only 6.8%. And looking at New York, it's about 14.4% for Harris. And Maine's first is just 10 points. So that puts Donald Trump already in the driver's seat with 297 electoral college votes, with all the states that have been won by over 5 points by either party. Now, looking at the lean Republican states, we have Michigan here at around 3.9 percentage points for Donald Trump right now. And Nebraska's second, according to this, would also be in the lean Republican column as well. And looking at the rest of the states remaining, all of these sort of, bluer states in a way, like New Mexico is about 1.4%. New Hampshire is also around that same margin. Virginia is just 1.2% for Harris. And Maine at large, if we were to go there, Harris is up by 4.1. But Minnesota happens to be the closest state in this entire thing at just 0.7% for Harris. And so when you go ahead and you finish filling out the map, Donald Trump is up 313 electoral college votes to Harris's 225. My moving average has Minnesota to the left of this, and it has New Hampshire going to Trump because he's actually up in my adjusted average when you weigh by party. Donald Trump is actually doing very well in New Hampshire, but this is not super far off from what I have. I mean, I have Iowa and Ohio safe. I have Wisconsin is likely. Michigan and Pennsylvania are lean in my averages, and the margins are smaller than the ones listed here, but the race is similar. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, all those states, the averages have Donald Trump up by more than 5. So that's that. And New Mexico and Virginia, my averages there actually have it within a point. I think Virginia is 0.5% Harris and New Mexico is 0.7%, but they're not that far off. I mean, they're only a couple points more blue. And New Hampshire and Maine is kind of skewing to the left, but even I have Harris up by 2.5 there. She's up here by 4.1. And New Hampshire is only like a 1.1 percentage point win. I have Trump up by 2.1. So again, my moving state averages and what the latest Rasmussen poll shows when you look into their crosstabs are not that far apart from each other. And again, Rasmussen, despite being a very hated pollster, tends to be one of the most accurate in the industry. And so it's just like, I mean, when you look at this data, it's really hard to picture Donald Trump really losing the election right now, because if Donald Trump is doing those numbers with Hispanics and African Americans, it's going to be incredibly difficult for him to even win any of the Sunbelt states at that point. And that even puts New Mexico in jeopardy for Kamala Harris as well. And the Rust Belt would be difficult too, because Pennsylvania and Michigan have a large African American population compared to other states. And so at that point, it would almost be impossible for Harris to win if she's really doing that poorly with Hispanics and African Americans and losing independents by 9. I mean, Biden won them by 13. So that's a pretty astonishing number, a big, big shift in the electorate. And so if you guys did enjoy this quick analysis, make sure to hit the like button, to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.